to his affairs and left me planted in the baggage room at Medicine Bow. I stood deserted among crates and boxes, blankly holding my check, hungry and forlorn. I stared out through the door at the sky and the plains, but I did not see the antelope shining among the sagebrush, nor the great sunset light of Wyoming. Annoyance blinded my eyes to all things save my grievance. I saw only a lost trunk. And I was muttering half aloud, "What a forsaken hole this is," when suddenly from outside on the platform came a slow voice. "Off to get married again? Oh, don't!" The voice was southern and gentle and drawling, and a second voice came in immediate answer, cracked and querulous. "It ain't again. Who says it's again? Who told you anyway?" And the first voice responded caressingly, "Why, your Sunday clothes told me, Uncle Hughey. They are speaking mighty loud o' nuptials." "You don't worry me," snapped Uncle Hughey, with shrill heat. And the other gently continued, "Ain't them gloves the same you wore to your last weddin'?" "You don't worry me! You don't worry me!" now screamed Uncle Hughey. Already I had forgotten my trunk. Care had left me. I was aware of the sunset, and had no desire but for more of this conversation, for it resembled none that I had heard in my life so far. I stepped to the door and looked out upon the station platform. Lounging there at ease against the wall was a slim young giant, more beautiful than pictures. His broad soft hat was pushed back. A loose knotted, dull scarlet handkerchief sagged from his throat, and one casual thumb was hooked in the cartridge belt that slanted across his hips. He had plainly come many miles from somewhere across the vast horizon, as the dust upon him showed. His boots were white with it. His overalls were gray with it. The weather-beaten bloom of his face shone through it duskily, as the ripe peaches look upon their trees in a dry season. But no dinginess of travel or shabbiness of attire could tarnish the splendor that radiated from his youth and strength. The old man upon whose temper his remarks were doing such deadly work was combed and curried to a finish, a bridegroom swept and garnished. But alas for age! Had I been the bride, I should have taken the giant, dust and all. He had by no means done with the old man. "Why, you've hung weddin' garments on every limb," he now drawled with admiration. "Who is the lucky lady this trip?" The old man seemed to vibrate. "Tell you there ain't been no other. Call me a Mormon, would you?" "Why, that—" "Call me a Mormon? Then name some of my wives. Name two. Name one. Dare you." "That Laramie widow promised you—" "Shucks!" "Only her doctor suddenly ordered southern climate and—" "Shucks! You're a false alarm." "So nothing but her lungs came between you. And next, you'd most got united with Cattle Kate, only—" "Tell you you're a false alarm." "Only she got hung." "Where's the wives in all this? Show the wives. Come now." "That corn-fed biscuit shooter at Rawlins you gave the canary—" "Never married her. Never did marry—" "But you come so near, uncle. She was the one left you that letter explaining how she'd got married to a young cyard player the very day before her ceremony with you was due, and—" "Oh, you're nothing. You're a kid. You don't amount to—" "And how she'd never forgot to feed the canary." "This country's getting full of kids," stated the old man witheringly. "It's doomed." This crushing assertion plainly satisfied him, and he blinked his eyes with renewed anticipation. His tall tormentor continued with a face of unchanging gravity and a voice of gentle solicitude. "How is the health of that unfortunate—" "That's right. Pour your insults. Pour 'em on a sick, afflicted woman." The eyes blinked with combative relish. "Insults? Oh no, Uncle Hughey." "That's all right. Insults goes." "Why, I was mighty relieved when she began to recover her memory. Last time I heard, they told me she'd got it pretty near all back. Remembered her father and her mother and her sisters and brothers and her friends, and her happy childhood, and all her doin's except only your face. The boys was bettin' she'd get that far too, give her time. But I reckon after such a turrible sickness as she had, that would be expectin' most too much." At this Uncle Hughey jerked out a small parcel. "Shows how much you know," he cackled. "There, see that? That's my ring she sent me back, bein' too unstrung for marriage. So she don't remember me, don't she? Ha ha! Always said you were a false alarm." The Southerner put more anxiety into his tone. "And so you're a taking the ring right on to the next one?" he exclaimed. "Oh, don't go to get married again, Uncle Hughey. What's the use of being married?" "What's the use?" echoed the bridegroom with scorn. When you grow up you'll think different." "Course I expect to think different when my age is different. I'm having the thoughts proper to 24, and you're having the thoughts proper to 60. "50!" shrieked Uncle Hughey, jumping in the air. The Southerner took a tone of self-reproach. "Now how could I forget you was 50," he murmured, "when you have been telling it to the boys so careful for the last 10 years?" Have you ever seen a cockatoo, the white kind with the top knot, enraged by insult? The bird erects every available feather upon its person. So did Uncle Hughey seem to swell, clothes, mustache, and woolly white beard, and without further speech he took himself on board the eastbound train, which now arrived from its siding in time to deliver him. Yet this was not why he had not gone away before. At any time he could have escaped into the baggage room, or withdrawn to a dignified distance until his train should come up. But the old man had evidently got a sort of joy from this teasing. He had reached that inevitable age when we are tickled to be linked with affairs of gallantry, no matter how. With him now the eastbound departed slowly into that distance whence I had come. I stared after it as it went its way to the far shores of civilization. It grew small in the unending gulf of space, until all sign of its presence was gone save a faint skein of smoke against the evening sky. And now my lost trunk came back into my thoughts, and Medicine Bow seemed a lonely spot. A sort of ship had left me marooned in a foreign ocean. The Pullman was comfortably steaming home to port, while how was I to find Judge Henry's ranch? Where in this unfeatured wilderness was Sunk Creek? No creek or any water at all flowed here that I could perceive. My host had written he should meet me at the station and drive me to his ranch. This was all that I knew. He was not here. The baggage man had not seen him lately. The ranch was almost certain to be too far to walk to, tonight. My trunk, I discovered myself still staring dolefully after the vanished eastbound, and at the same instant I became aware that the tall man was looking gravely at me, as gravely as he had looked at Uncle Hughey throughout their remarkable conversation. To see his eye thus fixing me, and his thumb still hooked in his cartridge belt, certain tales of travelers from these parts forced themselves disquietingly into my recollection. Now that Uncle Hughey was gone, was I to take his place and be, for instance, invited to dance on the platform to the music of shots nicely aimed? "I reckon I am looking for you, sir," the tall man now observed. End of chapter 1.